was with the England squad, and it was tallest building in Chicago. We had this like function dinner, and we all got in the lift with Sven-Goran Eriksson, and Peter Crouch went, "Eggy boff, nobody get out the lift." So there's 15 players in this lift going up to the 140th floor of the tallest building in Chicago, and we're going up and down in the lift, and Sven keeps saying, why you stay in the lift? And we must have been in there for an hour, and I was literally perspiring. We went up there 20 times up to the top and bottom. Peter Crouch came, "Eggy boff, nobody out the lift."
Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. Volkswagen has long been a supporter of soccer in America and has proudly been a partner of U.S. Soccer for over 5 years.
Welcome into Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. LD, I had the weekend off. That's all you need to know.
Oh, what'd you do? Hamptons?
No, I flew to Louisville to watch the Lady Vols play Notre Dame. It was like the halfway point, Louisville, between South Bend and Knoxville.
Spring soccer team? Oh, I forgot they play in the spring.
Yeah, 5 games.
Aren't they changing? They're changing soccer.
Eventually.
College soccer.
Yeah, eventually. They'll change. But anyway, went there. And then I flew back to New York, and I spent yesterday in Central Park because it was glorious. And you get good weather all year round. We're just breaking the spring. So
I was in New York last week, and you'll appreciate this because you like the finer things. I was at the Ritz-Carlton, had this amazing room overlooking the park. You know what I didn't realize? They have a lake in the park. Mm-hmm. I never knew that.
Jackie Onassis Reservoir, I think, is what you're referring to. But
I actually never knew that.
There's a lot.
I looked out the window and I told my wife, I'm like, "There's a lake here?" She's like, "Yeah, you idiot.
It's gorgeous."
There's a lake there.
Tell the people. So also tell the people. So you were in New York for a book signing, and I think at one point it was Union Square. And when I mapped that from me, it was like half a mile. And I just thought I scrolled through my text and I was like, Landon.
Oh, you didn't get it?
I didn't get the text.
Oh,
I didn't get
sometimes when you don't have service, happens like that.
This is what people don't realize. We can be literally in the same city, in the same town. We probably don't see each other.
Have a lot going on, man.
There's a lot going on. Anyway,
all right, guys. Please follow us on social media at Unfiltered Soccer. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Make sure you follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And as always, you can email Jordan at feedback@unfilteredsoccer. All right, Tim. Exciting week. I'm flying later in the week to Atlanta. Yep. You're going to be there or no?
Be there. I'm going San Francisco,
nice.
Atlanta, Minnesota. So I'll be in Atlanta with you. Okay,
great. So 2 games this weekend, Belgium and Portugal. Is that right? I get them all mixed up. Yeah, Belgium and Portugal. The USMNT on USLNT. So let's go a little bit into the roster, and we're going to dig into this more again later. The first thing, there's a lot of talking points, which I love. I love when this happens because there's just opinion and lots of stuff going on. So first thing, let's talk about our guy, Gio Reyna.
Yeah.
I don't know your reaction when you saw he was on the squad. To be honest, I was pretty surprised. He's played like basically zero soccer in the last few months.
I mean, going back to his move to Gladbach in August, he hasn't played a ton, right? Like
very little.
28 minutes in this calendar year. It sort of makes me feel vindicated. I know that sounds crazy because I'm thinking he ain't played a lot of soccer. I still think, and you and I could argue this, that I mean, what can he offer, right, in a player who hasn't played a lot? But for me, talent-wise, I've gone through the list on this show 1,000 times. Tab Ramos, Johnny O'Brien, yourself, Clint Dempsey, his dad, Claudio Reyna, Christian Pulisic. Like, the list is not long for our country. I mean, other countries, they're just like a laundry list. For our country, talented players with sort of the football IQ, and we don't produce those type of players, with respect. So, but to your point, Pochettino must be seeing this the way I see it, because he's a coach, and he basically lays down the law and goes, "You're playing, you're not playing. You got to do better for your club," whatever the case is. He's given Gio Reyna another shot, which I think is very impressive.
At this point, I don't even think it's another shot. I think he's going to be on the roster. Don't you? Well, if he's here,
yeah.
I mean, he hasn't played soccer since the last time they saw him. So here's my thing.
Yeah.
When you have a 26-player roster, I've said this over and over, you have a few guys who have some sort of superstar quality that are different. And the comp here, and the guy who got left off in a lot of people's opinion, is Alex Zendejas, who's in Club America. And I was down in Mexico City doing a shoot this weekend, and I was with a guy named, or last weekend with a guy named Luis Garcia, who played for the Mexican national team for a long time. And I asked him about Zendejas, and he said, Landon, he's really good. He watches him week in and week out. He covers the game. He's a broadcaster. And he said he's really, really good. And this guy plays every minute for Club America, big club in Mexico. But I think, with Pochettino, I thought he had said, or he had alluded to, like, you need to be playing if you're going to be on this roster. But clearly that's not the case. And that's okay, because Gio has a superstar quality. He can do things that other guys can't do. And so you don't need, and Zendejas is a good player, but we don't need another central midfielder. We don't.
Yeah.
So, or that type of attacking midfielder. You need someone who's got something different, and I get it.
Yeah, I think as I read through the notes that we sort of went over in our production call and listened to you talk now, I think he's on the roster. And you know why I think that? Because you made a good point. So since he got to Gladbach, 5 starts, 14 appearances total, 0 goals, 0 assists, right? No, but hear me out. If you're Pochettino and you're now saying he has, what did I say, 25 minutes in 28 minutes in this calendar year, your assumption then as a manager, you're basically saying there's a likelihood that Gio Reyna doesn't play more than 60 minutes between now and the end of the season for his club, right? So Pochettino has resigned himself to that. He understands that. But I think, to your point, if he believes that, then he wouldn't bring him into this camp. He'd just go, well, you're not going to play the rest of the season for Gladbach.
Correct.
I'm not bringing it. Why would I bring it in March? That makes no sense. So I think, to your point, if he's going to bring him in, he's not only on the radar, but he's on the roster. Well, good.
And
we'll take it.
And he proved it last camp, right?
Yeah.
He scored a goal, he had an assist, and he was good.
He's on my. By the way, he's on my squad. If I'm naming the squad,
he's on my squad as long as he understands from off the field, attitude, all that. As long as that's good, and I have to assume it is now, then he's absolutely on my squad too.
Good.
Okay.
I can't wait for this next one. I can't wait. You're fired up.
Man, So Noahkai Banks.
Noahkai Banks.
Okay. So
it says he's unavailable for this camp, by the way.
Yeah, whatever. So Noahkai Banks deciding between the U.S. and Germany. And we've had this discussion before. He got called into camp. He declined the offer. Pochettino's quote was, he's in a situation that's not easy for him at the moment. He was very clear in the situation that he's not available to be selected because he has still not made his decision who he wants to play for. I hope for the USA that the decision will be for our side. The whole federation is supporting him and not trying to convince him, because it's not about convincing. It's about showing that we, the federation, really care about him. Okay, so I have a lot of problems with this. I have a problem with Pochettino. I understand.
Sure.
He may or may not be here when Noahkai Banks ever makes that decision. So he's saying what the federation wants him to say. And from the federation standpoint, and particularly Matt Crocker, who makes these decisions, if someone does not want to play for your country, good riddance, goodbye. And I'm not mad at him. He can make his decision, but now I don't care about you anymore. I don't care about Noahkai. If he does not want to play for the U.S., totally fine. I get it. If he feels more German, I've always said, make the decision where you're passionate, whatever. Clearly, if he wanted to be a part of the U.S. team, he's been in many camps, Tim. He's been in camps. He's been in youth camps. The federation has been on him for a long time. And this whole notion of us like begging him to play for our country is bullshit.
Yep.
Like, dude, if you don't want to play for us, don't play for us. That's fine. And stop this game. And like, I don't know. And you know how many times we've been through this story? I'm going to tell people a name. I don't even remember his name. I think it's Jonathan Gonzalez. Maybe he was this young kid who was like playing for Monterrey, and he's like, I don't know if I want to play for the U.S. Guess what? Never heard of him again. And by the way, he didn't play for Mexico either.
Sure.
Stop this game, dude. If you want to play for us, play for us. If not, go away. I'm totally fine. I don't begrudge the kid, I'm just done with it. Done with
Here-
it.
Yeah, well, I knew you were fired up about this. Look, I've said this before, and again, you and I have worn that shirt hundreds of times, and love U.S. soccer and everything that it's about. The fact of the matter is, and you and I continually say this, U.S. is second fiddle to a lot of people. Like we love it. Our listeners love the U.S. men's national team. We love it, but there are kids out there who there's a likelihood he doesn't play for Germany. By the way,
Of course,
he's
there's
not, he's not,
likelihood.
and he's choosing that. Think about this. He plays a position that we need, that he could go and play in a World Cup and be a part of a team that goes to a World Cup and be an impactful player, and that's what that says for your career. He's declining that for a maybe. A maybe.
Well, by the way, it's clear though that what the federation is telling him is that the door's still open. And this is just a classic negotiation. Because they've left the door open for him, now he's like, okay, then I won't choose. I'll take my time. They should have said, I need to know right now.
Totally.
In fact, I need to know yesterday.
Totally.
You're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And if you're not in, you're out.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No?
If he chooses, and you and I talked about this, if he chooses to play for Germany, right? And let's say that doesn't work out. He has a one-time switch.
No. Don't
exactly.
Don't.
I'm just saying.
No chance.
If you're U.S. soccer,
no chance.
Once he chooses Germany, move on. Move on.
If he chose Germany and then decided, there's no way.
There's a way. Given
no, Tim,
not in my book.
I will lose it. No chance.
I know you will. I'm just saying there's a. So anyway, U.S. soccer, make sure that that's the case, that because it has to be we can't be someone's second choice. Simple as that.
No, this is your country.
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah. This is not playing for your club team.
Agreed.
You either care or you don't about. I mean, it's just This one boggles me. A lot of things I see as gray and not black and white. This it just blows my mind. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so this Ricardo Pepi stuff. First of all, what's the guy's name? The reporter's name? Fabricio.
Yeah.
God, he's botched this one. Jesus, yeah. It was on. It was off. It was like, dude, don't get it fast. Get it right. Because he said it was on, and then he said it was. And I just can't listen to this guy anymore. Okay. So it looked like, this is just bizarre. Looked like he was set to go to Fulham. PSV Director of Football Affairs, Ernest Stewart, who we played with, Ernest Stewart, said the clubs could not agree on when the deal would be made official. So Fulham wanted to wait for him to get through this part of the season before they officially signed him. And PSV was like, no, you're signing him. He's your player now in case there's an injury or something. So I actually agree with Ernie.
I agree with Ernie. Yeah.
It's like you signed him, you're paying, he's yours. Right. So but it also tells you with Fulham, you're obviously concerned about his injury or his injury history. So,
well, the interesting part, the interesting part is, what popped into my head? It was, and I don't necessarily agree with the outward sort of demonstrations, but this is very much a case of, do you remember when Alexander Isak down tools at Newcastle and no, I'm going to Liverpool? Again, I don't suggest you down tools, but this is an instance for me where if I'm Ricardo Pepi, I'm raising hell. I'm saying, look, everybody, let's just get this right. I'm going to be in London. Make sure those papers get signed somehow. Whether that's pushing your agent through the door and saying I'm not saying that Ricardo Pepi was sitting on his hands. I'm saying sometimes in these situations, you got to go full tilt.
Take charge.
Because, by the way, he needs to be in the Premier League if that's where he wants to be. And it's not ho-hum, we'll see what happens in the summer. Because, by the way, Fulham will move on.
Yep.
Fulham will move on.
They'll find someone else. Yep.
So.
And Josh Sargent just did that, by the way. He was like, look, I'm going to Toronto. Yep. So let's figure out how we're going to make this happen. And he did. All right. Curious how you guys feel about the squad for the friendlies. Tim, not as excited. I feel okay about it. We will have another special podcast released later this week where we're going to go even deeper on all this and then talk about the upcoming friendlies with Belgium and Portugal. So make sure you do not miss that. All right, last thing here, CONCACAF Champions Cup. Inter Miami go out to Nashville. you've said over and over, Tim, all their eggs were in this basket. And yikes. I mean, they did back it up with a win at New York City this weekend, but you could feel the devastation, man.
Yeah, I stood by that because I just thought it was a trophy they didn't have in the trophy cabinet, and yeah, I'm sort of surprised by it. But that it's hard, as you know, it's hard to continually win every single year, and they've won every single year. Well, the last couple anyway. So that part I think is difficult. Can I say Sam Sturridge? Massive fan of his, by the way.
Yeah,
he's a really, really talented player. I mean, that's not like news. He was really good last year as well. But I'm just saying,
but the addition of Christian Espinoza has made that team like really nasty. We have to give credit to Nashville too.
Yeah,
it's not like
sure.
Miami played poor. No. Like Nashville are becoming a very good team.
Yeah, they're a good team.
Yeah,
good team, good support, and all that.
Yep. So the quarters will be Nashville Club America, LAFC Cruz Azul, Tigres against Seattle, and Toluca against the Galaxy. So all Mexican MLS matchup.
It's time for the Unfiltered Refresh, sponsored by Coors Light. Choose chill. Get Coors Light delivered. Go to CoorsLight.com/USLNT. All right, LD, it's pretty easy to figure out who chose chill this week. You go.
Oh, yeah. City.
Yeah.
Beat Arsenal 2-0 in the Carabao Cup final. I didn't realize, because I'm not like in the Arsenal stratosphere all the time, they could have done the quad. That is now reduced to could do the treble, but they lost 2-0 to City. I know it is hard, but for City, look, they want to win the league.
Of course.
But this is a nice feather in the cap. Our guy, Nico O'Reilly, both goals. You forget about him. He's a good player, man.
Well, you forget about him because Pep started him out, with Pep doing the inverted fullback. So he always played in the back four. One of the fullbacks would go inside, sort of partner Rodri as the sixth, and they basically play with three at the back because they dominate possession. So that's what Nico O'Reilly was doing. As a left fullback, he was inverting. And then all of a sudden, we're doing lineups like, I don't know, a month or two ago. We're like, wait, Nico O'Reilly's a midfielder. Like Pep's played him as a midfielder. So obviously he sees something in him day to day.
Yeah, he has the quality to,
and he has good qualities going forward. So yeah, pretty impressive.
Do you think this impacts Arsenal at all going forward? Is it just a whatever and whatever? Or do you think this is like, oh shoot?
I think they have enough of a cushion in the league. That's not going to affect them. They wanted to get this trophy. Look, when people talk about the quadruple and the treble, I'm like, just it means nothing. It's a pie in the sky. If you can win the treble, a treble. Liverpool's done a semblance of a treble at one point. City's done a treble recently. Man United in '99 did it, but like no one wins a treble. So like, if you're in four competitions at this point, you hope to win two. Or you should. And I thought this would be one that they'd like, because it's the first one, right? It's early on. It's in April, so you're like, or March. You're like, can we get this in our pocket, which like sort of propels us to get some more, but it didn't happen. But I think they're okay in the league. The interesting part is with Kepa playing, which I didn't like that decision. Kepa playing over David Raya, and I just remember when I was at Man United and I was playing in the cup. It was a League Cup, which I think we went on to win that year, and Van der Sar was playing in the league, Edwin Van der Sar, and I was getting to like the semifinal, and I was like buzzing. I'm going to be playing the semifinal, and Sir Alex Ferguson was like, "Come sit here, come sit next to me." And I was bummed. I was so angry. But it taught me like, man, big clubs.
It's about winning.
It's about winning. So I was surprised at the decision.
Well, they might not get the quad, but I think they're going to win a title or two, so they'll be fine. But cheers to you for choosing Chill City, and congrats on Carabao Cup. All right, it is stoppage time, sponsored by FanDuel. New to FanDuel Sportsbook, new customers can score up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days from bets that don't win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. All right, amazing week this week. The World Cup playoff games happening. We're going to find out who the final 6 countries in the tournament will be. I love this. This is so exciting. Matchups: Bolivia, Suriname, New Caledonia, Jamaica, Italy, Northern Ireland, and Ukraine, Sweden. Okay, Bolivia and Suriname. This is a sneaky one, and Suriname do have a chance. I do think Bolivia win. They're the better team. They're the more experienced team. But don't count out Suriname. There is a scenario where they could win, but I still think Bolivia win. New Caledonia, thanks for coming. but you're not beating Jamaica. Jamaica are not great, but they are certainly better than New Caledonia. So I expect Jamaica to advance. Italy, Northern Ireland. This is a great one. We keep putting faith in the Italians. We all want them to be part of this World Cup. It would be incredible. And I am going to pick Italy to win this one. Ukraine, Sweden. This one's tricky. Ukraine obviously don't get to play at home, so it makes it more of a neutral site. I think Ukraine are slightly better, and I think they end up winning this game, but this one's very tight. So in summation, Bolivia will win, Jamaica win, Italy win, and Ukraine win. Don't forget to check out the full list of Unfiltered Soccer parlays on our socials later this week. All right, guys, remember to subscribe. As always, please, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking to our former teammate and Portland Timbers head coach, Phile Neville, right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, as always, presented by Volkswagen. The Unfiltered Soccer podcast is brought to you by Volkswagen. It's really easy to become a passenger in life.
Take control. Live life in the driver's seat. Learn more at VW.com.
Life. If we're not living it, what are we doing here? So,
let's go!
LD, MLS is back.
Yes, it is. And you know what that means? Saturdays are once again all about soccer.
Walmart is making Saturdays of soccer even more glorious with Walmart Saturday Showdown. From early practices to late night watch parties.
Yeah, Walmart and MLS bring every emotion of the beautiful game to Saturdays. Joy, nerves, excitement, and unforgettable golazos.
Walmart plays on Saturdays.
Who knew? Unfiltered Soccer is brought to you by FanDuel. Soccer fans, the beautiful game is reaching new heights of excitement, and FanDuel is matching that excitement with a beautiful offer for new customers. Sign up now and score up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days from soccer bets that don't win. It's like a free kick to try again every day. FanDuel is the best place to bet your favorite players. Build a same-game parlay for a chance at a bigger payout, or try live betting and join the action after the match starts. Visit FanDuel.com to get your first token and get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days from bets that don't win. Everyone deserves a second shot at greatness with FanDuel. Play your game.
All right, LD. We oftentimes have guests, but we very rarely have guests who are amazing friends, one of the funniest people we know, and a legend. And because I know him so well and because you know him so well, I oftentimes forget, and I mean this with respect, 6-time Premier League champion, 3-time FA Cup champion, was a member of the famous, world-famous Manchester United team that won the treble in 1999, capped by England 59 times. None other than our dear friend, Phile Neville. Phil, what's happening, man? It's good to see you.
Amazing friend. I mean, I'm honored.
That's the best.
I mean, you've not called me in about 4 years, T.R. And you call me an amazing friend.
It was every day for 10 years I had to put up with you. Like, I can go a few years without calling you. It's
yeah.
Can I just say, I swear on my life, I still have nightmares about hearing Phil go, Landon, back, right, left. I mean, it's like ingrained in my head.
Well, that's
Fizz, honest question. Who was the best right midfielder you ever played with at Everton?
He's not on this call.
Well, how many games did you play, Landon? I mean, you used to come in January and earn about $3 million and then go back to America, didn't you? For about a month's work. And I was on about 50K a year, and you just came in for 6 games, and everyone loved you.
That's
you know
also
what I mean?
a lie.
That's all smart. I'm smart, Fizzer.
No, I think. Well, I mean, we had Leon Osman, Stephen Pienaar. You was obviously high level. I mean, the first time you came, I think we didn't know what to expect from you. You didn't know what to expect from us, and it was just seemed like something just clicked straight away with the club, with you, with us, with the boys, and we had a great team at that time. And No, you wasn't bad, Landon, to be fair. Yeah, and you did track back. I remember playing Arsenal away, and they had, I think it was Robert Pires on that left-hand side, and I said, Landon, you just need to double up here a little bit. This French guy is not bad on this left-hand side.
Yeah,
And you did.
You're like, listen, this isn't LA. You have to. This is Everton.
Yeah.
David Moyes. We're gonna defend for a bit, okay? Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you literally the first training session? I don't even know if you remember this, Bizzer, but like the first training session I had, so I was like buzzing around, running and whatever. And I came and I sat down and I was like feeling good about myself. And I was like, good training, lad. And to somebody, and Phil walked in, he said, Landon, did you not train today? Were you injured? I said, what do you mean? You didn't say, and I went, oh, you idiot.
The
Do you know in them first couple of weeks, I remember obviously Tim Cale was there. I remember going to Tim. I said, Tim, I don't think he gets me, Landon, at this moment. I don't think he gets my joke, my banter. I think he thinks I'm like a little bit weird, you know what I mean? And then obviously you realized I was.
To be fair, it wasn't just a week or two. Most people thought you were weird and didn't get you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was his? Do you remember? I mean, part of Landon coming to Everton was just banter. We just got to banter him. Do you remember what he wore the first day, and then every day for the rest of the week?
Can I tell you something, Tim? I remember what you wore the first day at Man United. You wore a suit that must have been passed down the family from like 1882. It was that baggy on you. It was unbelievable. If there was any wind, you would have flown off in that. Honestly, it was the most horrendous.
You
remember
wore
that
a
suit you wore?
your first day, Tim?
Phil, I signed for Man United. I hit the lottery. It didn't matter what I wore.
No.
It didn't
Your
matter
tie was dripping down to your knees. Honestly, and I thought, what the fuck have we signed here? I think Bex looked round and thought, no, he's not for me. You know.
Oh, that's so good.
Amazing. Good times. Good times.
Fizz, let's we have a lot to talk about, and we could just talk all day. But what's so you guys are now in the international break, right?
Yeah.
So what's that like now as a manager? I always wondered this, because as a player, you kind of get to get away for a bit. And so, like, where's your head at now as you go into this? You have 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, we have 2 weeks. It's really weird because if you was like in the top 4, you'd be on the golf course today, and you know you'd probably be in. But because we've started the season not great, we've had a lot of injuries, so all the injuries are back sort of like this week. So it's really a week where it's really a week where we're integrating 6-7 players into the group. So it's almost like a mini preseason. So, but what it does do, it allows you just to breathe a little bit. You know, like when you're going from game to game, you know, it's the same as a player. You're on that train, you're not getting off that treadmill, and it allows us just to breathe, get players back, just reset a little bit. And the big thing for a manager is seeing your players go away and hoping that they come back. We've got 4 or 5 away, 4 or 5 starters. You hope that coming back from, say, for instance, from Africa or from New Zealand, these are long flights and you want them back. You know, that's watching your players play in international games is a torture for the managers. You just think like, we need Finn Sermon back, or we need Alexander Rodovinu to come back, or whatever, whichever player it is, because you're building your team around that player for the next game. Do you know what I mean? So it's double-edged sword. You get to spend a little bit more time with the family, but there's still some intense work to be done. So it's hard to switch off, really.
How much of that, Phil, when I think of the managers you played for, legendary Sir Alex Ferguson, clearly one of the greatest or the greatest managers in the history of football. David Moyes, who you had a really close relationship with as the captain of the club. Some really good England managers, some really interesting England managers.
Yeah.
How much of that do you sort of take into your own career in moments like this?
Yeah, well, you do, because you know we've all played for David Moyes. He doesn't switch off. The best managers don't switch off. They always say, you know, you got to switch off. You got to find a hobby. You've no time for a hobby when you're in this job. As a player, you've no time for a hobby, and as a manager, you've definitely not got time for a hobby. So I think it is a 24/7. I learned from the best, and I put David Moyes up there with Sir Alex Ferguson because his longevity, his consistency is phenomenal. And you just got to be relentless in anything that you do. And I think that's for anything that you want to do in life. You just got to be relentless. And I think the trends in football nowadays are moving that fast. You know, we've gone within the last, I'd say, 6 months, we've gone from I don't know, a Pep style to a more PSG style to a set play style. So you've got to be ahead of that trend all the time. Do you know what I mean? So and that means you can't. That means you've got to be watching football from all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, the good thing about being in North America is, you know, I was watching Tigres versus FC Juarez last night, and that's like, oh, why are you watching that game? Well, there's trends from all over the world, and I think that's what sets like the managers that have longevity apart from those that have come in and drop out the
Mhm.
game very quickly. You know.
Phil, what was when you came to America, what were the biggest differences just in football or in obviously as a manager? Like what did you notice, right? I remember when Bex came, there were and that time MLS was not what it is now. And there was a lot of shock for him. So like what were some of the things that surprised you or that were unique to America?
Do you know what the biggest thing? The big thing was the cap system.
Right.
I struggled to get my head around the cap
Mhm.
system at the time, and what I had a brilliant GM at the time at Miami called Chris Henderson, who's now at Atlanta,
Yep.
who was at Seattle, and it's like a jigsaw, and in some positions you've got to give up on talent just to fit that player into your roster. So I think the first thing was the roster. And the second thing was just the size of the country, the travel, the different climates. I think, people warned me, oh, you'll get frustrated with certain sort of like players that like from the supplementary roster to the max time. And I was never sort of like, for me, I thought there was a really good standard. I think the standards has been great. People said to me, oh, tactically, you don't need to do much. I think tactically in this league, it's been unbelievable since day one that the amount of coaches that have come into the league. So I think the big thing for me was the cap system is how you can maneuver. I think you've got to have geniuses working your cap system to actually help you win. I think you've got to find ways around that cap system. You've got to be clever in the positions that you invest in. There's a lot of top heavy rosters where the forwards that everyone wants to put the money into the forwards and the forwards who are being paid millions are playing against players that are earning the less money. That just didn't make sense at the time for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
So
talk about this. Yeah.
it was that bit that I wanted. I kept asking for a centre back in Miami, and it was like, no, no, it's a forward. It's a forward. Yeah, but I want a centre back that can be like my Yap Stam or like
Yeah.
that kind.
No.
No, it was a supplementary roster player. It was a draft pick, and that bit I kept thinking, well, if we keep the goal out the back of the net, then that'll give us a great chance of winning games of football. But I got it, and there's a moment when I speak to a couple of English coaches that are coming over now. There's moments when you think like shit, like what's happening? You just got to go with those moments and say
Yeah.
like that's the adaptation to the league.
It's I find it fascinating. And the league, we've both Landon and I have been in the league for a long time. That being said, you're in a play. So your indoctrination into the league was Inter Miami, and there's
Yeah.
fanfare with what that looks like. But Portland's a special place, Phil. I mean,
Whoa.
the Thorns and the Timbers. I mean, they're selling out. That city is crazy, and there's not many cities like that
No.
in America. So what's that sort of been like? Has that surprised you? Because it surprised me as a player.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
know what? It's Everton.
Mm.
I feel like
Mm.
Portland Timbers when I came in that day and the owner, we had Bill Kenwright
Yeah,
guys, didn't we? Who was just like that. That guy was in love with his football
yeah,
club, and we've got someone similar in Merritt Paulson. And I just think that like everything about the club is like our experience at Everton, family club. It's part of the community. It's passion. Uh, the home games, you can go to some away games, like some games in Miami when I first got there. The atmosphere was just okay, and every home game at Providence Park is intense. It's like, oh, the Thorns played on Saturday. I think there was the highest attendance in the NWSL yesterday before kickoff. It's a passion, and that's why I've fallen in love with the club because it just reminds me of that. You think about the Gladys Street and you think about those times when you walk up to the stadium and there's people there and the passion and they live for this football club and they're demanding. But I think that's what American soccer clubs need. They need demanding supporters that put pressure on their manager that are not happy when you lose. You know what I mean? And I think that I've played for two polar opposite clubs in the MLS. Both had incredible strengths. One club wanted to take on the world, and this club here wants to just be a special club. You know what I mean? So it's been great.
Phil, we talked about Fergie and Moisey. What what were their greatest attributes as managers? I spent little time with Moisey, but what made them special? What makes them different and special?
I think they were brilliant at managing people. I really do. I think Sir Alex could walk into a room and tell you how you felt. He could have a sense of how you feel, whether you was up or down. He could manage you, Landon, different to Tim. He could manage Tim different to me. He had this special quality. Never coached a training session. Never did a drill. He just had this knack of picking the right players who were hungry. He believed in young players. And I'd say that when I went to Everton, my first talk with David Moyes was exactly the same. His passion, his hungriness, his intensity, his standards were incredible. Sir Alex and David Moyes' standards were just through the roof. You know, if you weren't at that level every single day, then you weren't part of his group. And you look at him now, and you know, I speak to the same people you speak to in terms of his longevity. He just does this. They do the simple, basic things elite every single day, and I think that is a special quality to have. And they manage people as well as obviously the great coaches as well. You know, and I think they know how to build great football teams, and that's a special skill.
Let me follow up on that, Fit. So,
Yeah,
Tim and I talk a lot about this, and I don't know, I can't speak to if it's the same in England, but in America, there is, I'm generalizing here, but I want to tell a story. When the first game I played, we play Arsenal away at the Emirates, and we're up 2-0, if you remember, and they scored 2 goals late. And when we walked back into the locker room, I'm thinking, part of me is thinking, fuck, getting a point away at the Emirates is not a bad result, right? And then as you guys walked in, before the manager walked in, you guys blew up at not you two, the whole team. This is unacceptable. We cannot do. We just gave away 2 points, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, whoa. And it was so much so that Moisey didn't say a word. He didn't have to,
yeah,
because you guys all controlled the locker room and you were letting everyone know how you felt. This generation, it feels like that is lacking. And do
yeah.
you experience that? Have you experienced that as well? And if so, does it also happen in England? And what is that in your opinion?
I think it's worldwide epidemic. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that I think we're part of the problem. I think we
As like
spoon feed.
managers or as
Managers,
adults?
fathers,
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
adults, I think we spoon feed, we control, we
Yeah.
don't give any freedom to, like I actually yesterday, I always do a sort of like a in and out of possession game plan slide before the game. And I went in there and I said, guys, you know the game plan. They all nodded, said, right, no slides today, because really the slides were for me, really, just to make sure that I've told you. So you know what I mean? So I think, and what that means is that in situations on a football field, when things do change, players are like, they're looking over at the bench all the time thinking, what do we do now? Rather than just finding a way to win a game of football, finding a way to survive in life, finding a way to earn money, And I think the society nowadays means that we control, we suffocate the growth in a lot of people. And I think that's something that we try and work really hard at training, scenario planning. We work hard at training, even just training character. Do you know what I mean? We had a situation in training on Wednesday when, we've been on training grounds and there's been arguments, there's been fights, or there's been nearly those type. We had a trade on Wednesday when one of the players smashed into one of the young ones. Somebody went over and sort of like, had a go and called him out. And I was loving it. And the whole like club went, oh no, big problem. No, this is actually quite healthy. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And it created this panic. Oh, there's no spirit, no togetherness. I went, no, this shows that there is spirit
Correct.
and togetherness.
Correct.
So I think we're a victim of how we've changed as a society, really, where and I put down this is that it's our fault. We've created this pampered sort of like approach to this generation.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think and then I want to bring you that anecdote about how Sir Alex Ferguson managed people was incredible, and he really was. And then you took your experience, all of the experience, and you brought it to Everton. You had a brilliant Everton career. I want to take you to one moment that I want to ask you about. It's the sun is shining. We're at Goodison. We're playing Man United. I can see the blue. I can see the red. and the great Ronaldo was on the other side, and you laid a tackle on him. It was a vicious tackle, Phil. It was an early in the game.
I wasn't that vicious, Tim.
It was.
Mean-
If anybody can watch it, it's for your level, it was vicious. And what was the mindset going in? This is your former team. You played them before. We're at home.
Yeah.
It's Ronaldo. You clearly were trying to do something in that moment.
Yeah, well, I wanted to win. It was like just a competitiveness. The only thing I remember about that tackle wasn't the tackle, because if you watch it back, is that Ronaldo just gets straight up. Ronaldo rolls over and then he just gets straight up because we trained together. We knew that that's how we trained. Giggs, Scholes, Ferdinand, 3 really close friends, comes charging at me. And you think, I remember Leon Osman, I think it was, after the game, saying, I thought they were your mates. And I was like, well, yeah, they are, but this it's competitiveness, you know what I mean? Tim, how many times have we just gone like effing this, effing that, and then game's finished and it's done? It's like that was what drove us on, and that was probably the most important probably action that I ever did at Everton, because all of a sudden it flipped to I almost became one of them after that, because they always saw me as an ex-Man United player who loved the club, who had a brother at the other club. And that moment was really a turning point for me, and but it was just that was what it used to be. You go out there and fight for 90 minutes. You go in the shower after the game, and you're all sort of like have a beer and just move on with it.
I love that. Fizz, last thing for me, and then last question for me. I remember, I don't know if of course you remember this. I just want to share a story. I think it was the first day I was in the locker room as well, and I went into the toilet, to the bathroom, and I remember Tim walked by. You guys already know. Tim walked by and he said, "Hey man, I just got to tell you, leave the door open." And I said,
no.
"What are you talking about? I'm not going to leave the door open."
Oh, boy.
Someone else walked by. They said,
Oh,
"Landon, I just please leave the door open." I was like, "What the hell's wrong with these guys?" So I go into the bathroom. I close the door. I'm there for like 15 seconds. Freezing cold ice water
Cahill or
dumped
Osman
on my head, and I was like, "Oh shit! I should have left the door open."
Yeah,
you guys,
don't you
where did
think-
this come from? Like,
Phil hated this, by the way.
oh, I
Phil
hate it.
Seriously,
Can I
seriously.
tell you
thought
how
it was
miserable?
the most disgusting,
It's
the most
disgusting.
disgusting
I loved it.
thing.
It's
And I'll tell you a
disgusting.
funny story, right? Is that there was an ex-Everton manager that came to work at Man United called Walter Smith, right? Brilliant person. So he was at Man United for like 3 months, and we were playing Man City away, and Scalzi goes into the toilet, I think, and Walter Smith's got the door open while he's taking a number 2. And like Walter's obviously an older coach, and he comes back out and goes, "What the fuck's going on in there?" So then 3 months later, I go to Everton, and obviously the water comes over, and I'm like, "Oh, it's an Everton tradition," and that's where. And I used to think to myself, like, people used to just go to the toilet. Tim, you was the fucking worst. Go to the toilet. You come round, and he's got his paper, and I'm like, Tim, go to the toilet down the road. Just go to the little chef. And I'm like, I could never go to the toilet before a game.
Oh, I had anxiety. I know.
Here's the funny thing. Okay,
Honestly.
hang on. So there's a bunch of people in America listening to this podcast who have no idea. So Alan Stubbs, I think it was Stubbs or someone before, sort of made this rule, and who knows why the rule was made. If you went into the stall and you closed the door and it was closed or locked, they'd pour water over the top.
But
so the
why?
rule was you'd have to have the door open. But what made it even worse, Phil, was like when it was the boys, it was fine. Every now and again, the gaffer would walk by, and you'd be reading the paper and going, "All right, morning, gaffer."
Morning, boss.
sitting on the toilet. But he also understood.
The chef going by with the
He also understood. Like, yeah,
So
this is sort of how
but
it
like
goes.
it was like
It's so stupid.
just disgusting, like anyway.
I
But,
like-
but before Tim used to go onto the training pitch, he used to go in the stall. I used to come from a wheat, and Tim would just be there, not batting an eyelid, just going, "Hey, Fizzer, how you doing, Fizzer?" I went, "Tim, shut the fucking door, will you, man?"
All right,
Oh,
last
great times.
question.
Great times.
Fizzer, in any given MLS season, I'm just curious this from your standpoint.
Yeah,
The best team. So let's say Inter Miami last year.
yeah.
How would they finish in your opinion in the Premier League? Would they stay up? Would they?
Yeah, I think they compete. I really do.
Compete to stay up?
Yeah, they compete to stay up. I
Yeah.
think they've obviously somebody like Inter Miami, a really good team. You looked at their performance in the Club World Cups. They performed really well. Now, I think the cap system would make it almost impossible to stay in the Premier League. But what I would say is that the level of the MLS is, I think, rising every single year. I do think it's the place to actually be now. Honestly, I think when people around the world, players, are looking at destinations to go and play with great stadiums, great everything. I think the MLS is an unbelievable place to work, to coach, to play, and obviously you've been here for a long time, and the growth of the league in the last 3 years has been frightening. Now, I think if we keep pushing the cap limits up, I think Inter Miami are doing an incredible job just to keep pushing boundaries. Because what's happening is, like when you get these billionaires, they see that and they want a piece of it, and so their clubs lifting.
That's right.
Like so I think it's really good. I think it's really good.
And we're gonna get you out of here in 60 seconds. And this might be a social clip. But let me set the scene. This goes sort of hand in hand with the bathroom thing. For people who don't know, in England, there's some really stupid game, and it's called eggy boff, right? And so people listening, Phil, people listening won't know. But let me set the stage. So someone calls an eggy boff, and let's say you go out and hang out with your friends, and they say, eggy boff Tim. That means you can't speak to Tim. You can't look at me. You can't answer me until the person who said it cancels it. So I want to take you back to a time. We're on the bus. The bus pulls up somewhere, and you might remember. And
I was on the bus. I remember this.
Okay, and Tim Cahill, because this is what Tim Cahill does. The gaffer gets off, goes inside. Backroom staff goes off, and Tim Cahill goes, eggy boff. No one gets off the bus. And to speak to team camaraderie, everybody looked around and went, we're just not getting off the bus. And you started to shit yourself because you're the captain. You were Moyes' favorite, but you also knew you couldn't get off the bus. So the gaffer sends one of the staff to come back on the bus and say, "Right, lads, off the bus." And everyone looked at him and went, we can't get off the bus. And now we're begging Tim Cahill to cancel it. Tim, just cancel it. Just cancel. But the problem with Tim Cahill was the only person who Moyes liked more than you was Tim Cahill. Tim Cahill could do no wrong. So he was like, do you remember that bus trip?
Do you remember, Tim, when I was going round to all the young boys? Right, Seamus, come on, let's get off the bus. And Seamus going, no. Hey, T-out, come on, this is unprofessional. I was sweating. I was like perspiring with we was with the England squad, and it was the tallest building in Chicago. We had this like function dinner, and we all got in the lift with Sven-Goran Eriksson. And Peter Crouch went, eggy boff, nobody get out the lift. So there's 15 players in this lift going up to the 140th floor of the tallest building in Chicago. And we're going up and down in the lift. And Sven keeps saying, why you stay in the lift? And we must have been in there for an hour. And I was literally perspiring. We went up there 20 times up to the top and bottom. Peter Crouch came. Eggy boff, nobody out the lift. Honestly, it is so airtight. We say, and you can appreciate this. Rebecca listens to the show. Rebecca Lowe. We say it all the time. We're gonna eggy boff Bex when we come on air. Just eggy boff her. So she asks the first question. We don't answer. I mean, we'd get fired. No,
we'd get fired. Pierre would basically go right off your pop. But
yeah,
really,
no, that was fun.
Love you, Bex.
But that's you don't remember the games. You actually remember those moments.
That's right.
The lift banter.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
Well,
this is a life story, by the way. Jesus Christ.
Hey, I'm just trying to save you from going to the training ground.
I'm doing this for nothing, by the way. I'm doing this for nothing.
We're saving your job. Don't worry about that.
This might get me a commentary gig in the World Cup, somewhere, maybe on Fox, Landon. Yeah, maybe on Fox.
I'll see you there, pal.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
All right, Fizz, thank you so much, man. This is awesome. We'd love to do it again. And as always, wishing you the best. We joke, but we're proud of you and always excited to watch you and support you. And thanks for all the help you had.
Thanks for the time
in my career.
Definitely.
Love you both, guys. Keep up the great work.
We will do.
Cheers. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get into your questions in the AT&T Fan Connection right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen.
This episode is brought to you by Airbnb.
Timmy, we both played for the national team. We played in different places all over the world, and we know the value of an away fan. Away fans providing energy, excitement, especially at the end of the game, is so crucial.
Hosting your home on Airbnb provides visiting sports fans the ability to stay close to the action in a neighborhood location. Big sporting events brings fans from around the world. Hosting your home on Airbnb lets you be a part of the excitement. And your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. LD, things are about to get really hectic. End of the Premier League season, summer soccer tournament coming up. It is just like all soccer all the time, tons of travel. I feel like now is a time where it's important to relax and choose chill.
Yeah, this might not make sense, but for me, choosing chill, I talk to my wife about this all the time, is not like sitting on the couch. For me, choosing chill is actually choosing chill by going to play hockey, which is cold and freezing and like exerting a lot of energy. But by the end, it's so relaxing. It feels so good. It's a connection to my Canadian roots, to my dad. I love it. And that's when I choose chill.
Choose chill and then reach for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/UFS, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer.
Yes, sir. As always, celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Beer.
There's nothing better than feeling like someone has your back and that things are going to get done even without you having to ask. Like your crisp new jersey waiting for you in the locker room or a perfectly set up wall for a free kick.
Yeah, as we on Unfiltered Soccer get ready for next summer, we know that very little in the beautiful game is guaranteed. But as we prepare to bring our unfiltered brand of nonstop soccer coverage, it's good to know AT&T has your back with the AT&T Guarantee.
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, AT&T will proactively credit you for a full day of service. That's the AT&T Guarantee.
Learn more at att.com/guarantee. AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or a wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Must be connected to impacted towers at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details. It's time for the Fan Connection presented by AT&T. Every week we invite you, the listener, to connect with us by submitting your questions. At AT&T, connecting changes everything. And on USLNT, our connections with you will help grow the game. Time now for the AT&T Fan Connection. That means it's everyone's favorite time of the week, but it's also our time to talk to Jordan. Jordan, welcome in.
Hello. How's it going?
It's good. It's an interesting.
Is that the
kit.
Waldo jersey?
It's like
This
hoops.
is Firelands United. They are a team in Ohio, the Firelands region of Ohio. Yeah, they said this is their
league.
away kit. I think it's USL. I want to say.
Okay.
But
League 2, maybe?
Maybe. Could be.
Oh.
It's like a dreamsicle kit.
Yeah, this is their
that.
away kit.
Okay.
This was their 2025 was their inaugural season. So they're still a young
It's a bit
club.
of an homage to the 94 kit too.
It also has, it's hard to tell, but it has like a stripe, like a diagonal stripe, like the
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Like a
I
sash.
can barely see that.
Yeah.
So more importantly, that's a really nice kit. Firelands of Ohio. Have you gotten any further in your football investment?
A bone to pick with you, Tim
With
Howard.
me? What happened?
Because
Oh,
now
don't.
there are people
Pick
on
it.
the internet saying
Pick
things
it.
like JR makes enough money to invest in a USL club.
People on the internet don't know
Mm.
about football investment. They're just spewing nonsense. That's not my question. My question to you is, have you and your financial advisor given any more thought to who you're going to invest in?
We are still fielding suggestions from our audience. Somebody actually sent me a pitch with videos and like a full blown pitch.
That's
yes,
awesome.
It's amazing.
See how she's negotiating publicly to get.
I know.
I
She's
will
clever.
say I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't. I literally mentioned the Rough Riders and they're from Long Island just like me and didn't hear from them at all. Nothing.
Crickets.
Absolute crickets.
Wow.
You could leverage saying their name on the show as part of your investment package.
Correct. You could get it in on every episode.
See, Ricardo Pepi, this is the kind of negotiation help you need.
Yeah. Hire Jordan.
You want to get to Fulham or Long Island? You let us know.
Okay, here is a question from Uncool, and he gave me a pronunciation key, so I know I said that right.
What's his name? Uncool?
Uncool. Emphasis on the first syllable. Uncool via email says, I'm looking forward to the USL's new Premier Division, but I wish USSF, MLS, and USL could get their act together to focus on a connected pyramid. Any thoughts on how this could come about?
It's great. I mean, we've talked about heavily LD. I mean, it's sort of how what's the next phase? People keep asking like, what comes from the World Cup and money and grassroots and all those things. We do have to find a way to unify that. It's not going to be easy. I have my thoughts, but it's not going to be easy.
You think it's possible?
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
You do?
What do I think that the unification?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's why. Because money makes the world go round. And I'll take you to a sport that you love, golf. Right? There was a time when the PGA and Live Golf basically said, F you, we're never going to talk. Guess what happened? You know what brought them to the table to talk? Money.
Dinero.
So
Yes.
I think that yeah, go ahead, go.
No, I agree. To me, it's not a microcosm. Is a macrocosm a word? I don't know. Youth soccer is a microcosm of what's happening at the top, right? It's like everyone wants their own piece of the pie. They only care about themselves. They don't care about the greater good. And I get it. But for someone who loves the sport, to his point, like we want to see unification. What they do in other countries, and they succeed. So I would love to see it. I'm skeptical on all of it.
Quick follow-up. When we had Don Garber on the podcast back in December,
Shout out Don Garber.
He talked a little bit about what the relationship used to be between MLS and USL because it's changed over the years, right? So it was like a closer relationship, and now it is.
Let me give you an analogy, Jordan. I have 2 boys. When my oldest son was like 4 and my youngest son was 2.5, they would like play and have fun. And my older son was like, oh, it's so nice to have a brother. Now they're 10 and 8.5 and they're competing for everything, attention and soccer and all the things. They don't like each other as much anymore. And for MLS, it was like, oh, it's like the little brother who's like, and now they go, oh, wait, this is kind of a serious competitor. Like we're not going to play with them anymore. And that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah. And USL has, having both of us worked in USL and been in ownership, USL used to be sort of rightly or wrongly seen as a second division, and USL will tell you we're not a second division. We're a thriving independent league that wants to rival the MLS. So it doesn't matter what you think about it or what I think about it. That's who they are as a business model. So Landon's point, there's a rivalry there. Obviously, when you look at valuations of the league and teams, MLS sits high above that. But is there a world? I still believe that there's a world where with the right money and the right conversations, there is a merger. I don't know when that is.
That'd be right.
Okay, next question is from Michael via Instagram. I just saw the news of Kyle Walker announcing his retirement from the England national team. Can you add your perspective on why players choose to retire early from their respective national teams rather than just allowing themselves to be aged out through a natural, quote unquote, deselection process?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim. Yeah.
Well, it's a really interesting one because of it. As soon as you said that, it drew me to a story that with our dear friend Phile Neville, and I remember saying to Phil at the time he was at Everton, and I remember saying to Phil, like, "Are you gonna retire from England?" Like he was obviously he wasn't getting called in anymore, right? And I don't know what competition there was in the summer. So are you gonna like retire? You're who you are. And he's like, hell no, I'm not gonna. Like, what am I put an announcement out? Like it never crossed his mind. He was like, he had his time, he had his moments with England, and that was it. I don't have a strong opinion either way about it. I think if you feel so inclined, it's a personal thing. If you feel inclined to put that out, and by the way, we live in a whole different world now. I mean, you have the ability to sort of control the narrative, and if you want to put out an announcement, do it. If you want to have a party, do it. Whatever. If you're good enough and England want to recognize you at a game at Wembley, great. But whatever. I don't have a strong opinion either way.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I never thought about it that way, but it's like you don't really need to to do it, to retire. But if you want to, then up to you.
It's also I don't mind it because it's self-recognition. Like Jordan, you were saying like get phased out. Like that feels kind of like, wait, I've given 50 caps to my country. I've got 100 games to my country. I've given everything. And the idea that now I'm just going, Tim Howard didn't get called in that camp. All right. Well, that's the last we ever heard of him. Like that seems like strange. Well, I'm certainly going to make sure you hear the last of me, like, so I don't know if I love if you're a big enough player and whether he is or isn't, that's debatable. I just don't love the idea of being like phased out. I think you should be able to put a cap on it.
Okay. How about a fun non-soccer question?
I like fun non-soccer.
This one is from Josh via email. And he does start the question off by addressing me directly, but you'll understand why in a second. Greetings, JR. That's me. Hope this message finds you well. It did, Josh. Thank you. We have heard some of your music likings. And then in parentheses, he put My Chemical Romance to prove that he does, in fact, listen to this podcast.
Dope.
And I love when Tim quizzes LD on music artists he should know. And then in parentheses, he put A Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang. So my question is, what are LD's go-to artists? We can do everyone's Mount Rushmore of music artists. We haven't heard from LD in
Mount
this
Rushmore
aspect of his life. Yes.
Okay.
That's hard. That's
hard. He wants a
Mount
Rushmore
from
everyone. So you go
Boys
first.
to Men for sure.
Okay. Wow.
There's a
you chucked the Boys to Men in.
Is it Brett Evans? There's a country song called In Case You Didn't Know. It's so good. And I just saw this thing pop up of him doing it with Boys to Men. Oh, dude. As good as it gets. Boys to Men for sure. Billy Joel. Morgan Wallen.
Okay, this is not your Mount Rushmore. This is who you like.
No, this is my Mount Rushmore.
You only get 4, bro.
I know. I gave you 3.
No.
I didn't give you 5.
How many did you say?
Boys to Men. That only counts as 1.
It's amazing, by the way. I love that Boys to Men is on your Mount Rushmore. That's incredible.
Boys to Men, Billy Joel, Morgan Wallen. Where's my last one? I can't think of the last one right now. Oh, maybe. It's not that I love her music that much. Just her voice is, in my opinion, the best of all time. Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
But it's not like I love every song. I mean, they're all catchy and whatever.
No,
but
I love every song.
Yeah. Cool.
Tim,
what about
who's
yours?
your Mount Rushmore?
Nas.
100%. My Mount Rushmore, which I have just as a disclaimer, I have the ability to change one of these at any point in time in the history of.
Here we go.
A Tribe Called Quest, Nas, Bob Dylan, and Whitney Houston.
Wow.
Bob Dylan.
I could change that.
What about you, JR? MCR.
Yes. 100%. MCR. I feel like probably Jeff Buckley.
Really?
All right.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Did you hear him do that?
Well, he's been dead for a long time. So I never got to see him live. Yeah. He died in like the late 90s. Yeah. Very tragic story. There's a really great documentary about his life that came out last year, if anybody's interested. So MCR, Jeff Buckley, probably Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That fourth one is so hard.
It's hard.
I think The Cure. I think The Cure probably.
Really?
Yeah. I'm very goth.
Friday,
I'm very dark
I'm in
and
love.
sad.
Did they sing Friday, I'm in love?
They did. Yes. Good
One
job.
day you could fall apart.
One of my favorite things is Landon, you and your music. You like you know bits, but you like know nothing.
Actually, this is a great opportunity for us to tell people that we started doing an unfiltered playlist that I share on, but I've been sharing it on social media.
Oh, is that public?
Yeah.
You have it. Nice.
Yeah. So it's like songs that we talk about. Sometimes music comes up on the show, right? You guys were talking about Tribe Called Quest a couple of weeks ago. We've talked about My Chem, but I put the most recent episode of the podcast at the top of the list. This way, it's kind of like you might hear some Easter eggs. Like if you listen to the playlist, you'll hear reference to some of the bands or songs in the episode, and then we populate it from there. So I try to change them out.
What? We need Rick Astley on there.
Never gonna give you up.
Never gonna let you down.
This
is Boys to Men on there?
Well, I'm about to add everybody we just named. on this.
It's
LD, you and I'll
amazing.
have to decide which Billy Joel song goes on the.
What a
Oh,
shout.
Vienna.
Piano Man, obviously.
I mean,
One of
yeah,
my
baby.
best friends put out a thing saying, I can't decide what the better Billy Joel album is, Turnstiles or The Stranger, which I think is a very hard. I think it's The Stranger.
Well, The Stranger's
myself.
good.
Yeah.
Stranger-
I
Just
can't
good.
tell you how many people listen to this show to hear us talk about Billy Joel. Our core audience.
Okay. If you would like to tell us who your favorite bands are, or ask us actually a soccer question, which is what we're
Ooh,
really
we should
here.
let a fan get a song on there.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Good.
One of the ultras
Um,
gets a song on there.
Yes, but you have to I need the song title and the artist, because sometimes song titles, many artists have done
And
same
the
song
reason
title.
why.
Yeah, and then we'll mention it on next week's episode, and it'll go
Good
in
one.
next week's playlist.
Love that.
Can I
Okay.
put a request into you, JR?
Sure.
Mhm.
And our audience?
Mhm.
I'm not feeling the heat. I'm not feeling the heat. Like, it's been nicey. And I know there's some bullshit out there in those comments. So, like, Jordan, I think you've gone soft. I think you're protecting people from something.
Mhm.
We need some
haven't.
thunderous, like, bring us
Mhm.
some heat.
Agreed.
Yeah, we
know
also-
we know we're unliked. We know we're unliked, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think we need some more hot takes. How about that? Let's get some hot takes in and this is where you would send it to. You would send it to feedback@unfilteredsoccer.com. So there you go. That's
Let's
it,
argue and
guys.
debate. We love it. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, JR. All right, Timmy, fantastic show. That was fun. Big week ahead
Yeah.
for U.S. soccer and the national team. We appreciate all you guys for being with us as always. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you get your podcasts, and follow the show across all social media platforms at Unfiltered Soccer for all the bonus content. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, VW, our fan connection sponsor, AT&T, and our stoppage time sponsor, FanDuel.
Thank you also to our Unfiltered Refresh sponsor, Coors Light, and our additional sponsors, Airbnb and Walmart. Have an amazing week. Go USA. Looking forward to some wins. And we'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of Unfiltered Soccer.